This is Project Fiona, brought to you by TGN. Welcome to the video. As you guys can see on screen now, there's actually a few pictures I have for everyone of the Project Fiona concept tablet. Now before we get into the video, I do want to say quickly, this is a concept, so it's not necessarily going to be out. That being said, it still can come out. It's kind of like a concept car. They won't necessarily come out, but it's just ideas. Now, this actually may end up being completely different if it comes out. It could end up having completely different controls, all kinds of things like that. Concepts usually end up not coming out the way you see them. So that being said, as it's a concept, it may end up being completely different by the time it's released. Now, for Razer to call this a tablet, I don't really know if that's a good thing or a bad thing marketing-wise, but it's not like any other tablet out there. It's not like Apple where it's running its tablet software. It's actually running a version of Windows 7, and it's actually a very locked-down version of Windows 7 from what we've seen so far, and it looks really nice overall, but I do predict that there will be hacks since it's running Windows 7, somehow having some kind of exploit to it where you can run other programs like Safari or Chrome or whatever it'll run through some kind of hacks if they don't have it open like that. That being said, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing necessarily, but with it running Windows is an amazing feature because you can actually play games out of the box. You can load up Hawks 2 or any other game that's PC and actually play it right away just through the hand controls. Now, you may be wondering, do they have to integrate it and port over software? They actually don't. It's not like Angry Birds where you don't have to have software and screen resolutions and set like that for certain tablets. You don't have to port it over to a new system because it's already out on Windows 7, and all you have to do is set up the key bindings to work with your controllers, being the two joysticks on the left and the right side. Now, Razer hasn't released any official information about specs of the product, but they have said it's running an i7 3rd generation, so it will be a very fast tablet, so you will have high quality on the processing side. I don't know if an i7 is really necessary because that's going to jack up the price. I would probably say a 4-core processor, something like that, because I don't know if it's necessary to just run games. Maybe it is. Maybe you need an i7 to run games on a tablet like this, but I don't really see that as being a huge thing, as much so as graphics, because graphics are going to be key. In my opinion, graphics are going to be the selling point because it's kind of a weird market. It's a market that's never been really gone after before. It's not like a PS Vita or an iPad. There's actually Windows on it, so you can actually play games, a whole plethora of games, not just PS Vita games or not just iPad games, but you can just load up any other type of game like that. Now, at the end of one of their interviews, you guys can see right now, they actually state that it's something that you do with your friends.
But this is a different experience. It's on the go with your pals, and it's good fun.
So there is a possibility that I'm speculating that you can have some kind of live interaction. So you will have some of those Windows feature, probably some Wi-Fi on there, obviously, where you can actually game with some friends, maybe a 3G or even a 4G version through different networks. Not saying that's a real thing yet. They haven't really talked about that, but that's some of my speculations. Now, one of the other things they talked about in one of their interviews, this was actually with Engadget, was actual vibrations. Now, if you think about it, whenever you're gaming on a tablet, you can actually hold it and kind of look down at it, or if you're using a controller, you kind of look at the screen, but this is different. You actually have to hold it in your face as well as game at the same time. Now, that's definitely not a bad thing. It's a whole new idea. It really immerses you in what you're doing, and it's actually got vibrations on the hand controllers, not the actual tablet itself, which I like, because you don't really want the tablet shaking because it kind of impairs your vision of the game you're playing, but you get the feedback like you would from an Xbox controller or a PS3 controller or anything like that. So it's definitely a very nice feature with feedback in both the left and the right side on the hand controllers. It's pretty interesting how they did it. Now, there aren't very many videos out there on YouTube right now, so you can't really go up and search too much because there isn't a lot of hands-on experience. The only real place I've seen it over is that Engadget. Links in the description for all their articles. That's where a lot of these pictures and some of the video I played, just a little bit of it, was from Engadget, so big props to them. If you want to go see any of their content, it's definitely there in the link in the description. Now, I don't know if it's touchscreen or not. They didn't really talk about it being touchscreen, and I don't think that's where they want to go because they don't want to advertise it as a tablet per se, like an iPad. They want to advertise it as its own gaming tab or whatever they're going to end up calling it. I'm not sure. I don't really agree with it being called a tablet because it's a tablet, but it's not like a tablet in a lot of consumers' eyes where it's an iPad or something like that. It's actually far different in the sense that it it may not even be touchscreen, which isn't a bad thing. And I definitely don't know if I'm agreeing or disagreeing with this yet. I don't really have any personal opinion on that, but that's just something I wanted to bring to you. It may not even be touchscreen, which could be interesting. I'm not sure how that'll work because I'm not 100% liking the idea of having to use the joysticks to navigate a cursor. So hopefully they add a touchscreen integration, but they didn't really talk about it in the Engadget interview. They actually made it seem like it wasn't going to be touchscreen because they said specifically like gamers do not like to have to deal with touching the screen. They like to have the feel of the controller.
None of that, PC gamers, we don't like to do all that kind of thing. Touching, yeah.
So I agree with that a lot. In a lot of sense, the hardcore gamers aren't going to want a touchscreen, but I'm not sure if it's going to be a good thing all around. Now, one of the big questions is graphics card. I know I touched on it a little bit earlier, but graphics card is going to be key in my opinion, and they really said that they were going to release this late in the tablet's development. They wanted to have a little bit of a surprise. So in my opinion, that's a very good thing because the graphics card could very easily be something amazing and some kind of last minute boom, which would be pretty awesome. But on the other hand, it could be something bad where it's just a kind of standard graphics card. So that's definitely something interesting. They did state in their interview very specifically that they wanted to wait until before it was released to talk about the graphics card that they'll be using. Now they did say they wanted the price to be under $1,000, which at first I was like, wow, $1,000, it's a tablet, it's not a computer. But then I started thinking, it's running an i7 and it's running Windows, so it is kind of like a computer in a lot of sense. So really it comes up to be, in your kind of thoughts here, do you think it's reasonable, or do you think there's a market out there for a $1,000 gaming tablet, whereas you could easily go out and buy an iPad which could potentially do more, or even a laptop at that point, a very high-end laptop. This obviously will not be a laptop replacement. You will still need a laptop to do all your work, your emails, and things like that. It's not like an iPad where it's got the utility. It is purely gaming for gamers. So you could go buy an Xbox today and pay your $300 or whatever it would be. You could even buy a $300 TV and play Xbox on it on a 24-inch TV, high definition, and it'd still be cheaper than this tablet. So $1,000 is their price point. They said they want to try to get a little bit under there, but they're probably shooting for either $899 or $1,000 as a price point as of now. It's not that the price is just extremely jacked up for some reason, but it makes sense when you think about it. It's running an i7 and it's a gaming tablet running Windows, so it's coming with a copy of Windows and an i7. It's just like buying a computer, but does it really have a market as a gaming tablet for almost $1,000? I'm not sure. I don't know if I'll personally own one. It seems pretty cool, but I'm not sure where the market's going to be and how it's going to break down, because a lot of people are going to be going for either the iPads or something like that in exchange, because it has not only gaming but a lot of features that it can utilize, such as email or even at this point editing videos on an iPad. So I don't know if there's a market. If there is, tell me in the description. What do you think about this Fiona project concept? Like I said, it's just a concept. They may change it completely. It could come out as a purely touchscreen tablet.
Go ahead and check
For all
out our
we know,
full
it's
channel.
a concept, like a concept car. They may take parts and put it into other products,
iPad 3 content,
like many
go ahead and
concept
subscribe
cars.
to the
So
iPad 3 show.
that being said, guys, leave that in the description. Toss this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Favorite it if you enjoyed it as well. Also check out our full show, guys. Until next time, all iPads.
This video is part of the Way movement, a career path for YouTubers. To learn more, visit tgn.tv.